Hello viewers and welcome to Africa and Beyond the Television Network, and this time around we are taking a look on what is happening in South Africa. And the EFF, it seems as if they have won against the Cyril Ramaphosa government, and the tax hike has been suspended by the High Court. So what happened is that the Western Cape High Court set aside the 2025 fiscal framework and revenue proposal. And they said that this was done illegally, and the Standing Committee for on finance and they need to revisit this and deal with this whole issue afresh. So this is victory for the EFF. This is victory for Julius Malema, because as a small party, they took the South African government, the Minister of Finance, to court, and they now have a relief. So let us take a look onto this whole issue and understand what is really happening. So before we go any further, what we need to note is that the South African Parliament, they've noted this new development, and the Speaker of the National Assembly, Toko Didiza, confirmed that the Minister of Finance must table the new budget afresh. And this is something very, very important. That is what is on the screen. That is the memorandum which was issued by the Speaker of Parliament or the Speaker of the National Assembly, Toko Didiza. And we need to take a look also on the court order which was issued by the courts and understand what is really happening and how everything is transparent. So South Africa, the government of Cyril Ramaphosa is having a lot of chest pains because of the EFF. The EFF is actually doing the Lord's work. They are not the official opposition, but they are acting as if they are the official opposition in the nation of South Africa. So according to that court order, you can see that it carries a lot of weight. It does have a lot of things. What is of significance is that the 0.5 VAT increase was set aside, and that is something which is very, very important, which means the budget will need to be tabled afresh. And this is, victory against all the parties which worked with the ANC to put the people of South Africa in a corner of making sure that they continue to squeeze a lot from them. So when you look at everything, the EFF was debating in Parliament. They did great things to make sure that they stop whatever madness which is happening right there in South Africa. MK, the major question is, where is the MK when everything is happening? The MK was supposed to be leading this whole thing, because the DA was co-opted together with other parties. They were co-opted by the ANC. They are now working together, but we expected to see a lot from the MK, which is now the official opposition. And the MK was supposed to be working hands on with the EFF to make sure that they stop all the illegalities which are happening right there in South Africa. But we wait to see how everything is going to unfold, how everything is going to proceed. How is the minister going to deal with this whole issue? How is he going to restructure the budget? What is going to be accepted and what is not going to be accepted? So if you look at the template of South Africa, the template of Zimbabwe, they are now surviving on over-taxation, where they are taking a lot from the people to fund or to finance their own spendings within the government. And let us take a look what the EFF had to say or said when they were dealing with this issue during the issues of budget.
Speaker, it's very painful that we have to repeat again and again the things we said in the committee. And even in the committee, we repeated many times, and the chairperson refused to follow what the law says. Now we come here, I'm going to read the act, what it says, Madam Speaker, because what you are quoting for is the procedure of the committee. But here is the act that guides what needs to happen once we've got the fiscal framework. Speaker, let me refer you to Section 8.
Honourable members, let's allow the member the privilege to quote the act which all of you have. You can
Please.
quote the section you want to quote.
Yes, Section 8, adopting the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. And it reads as follows. The National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces must refer the fiscal framework and revenue proposals to their respective committee on finance. The committees must conduct joint public hearings on the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. The committees must, within 16 days of the tabling of the national budget, submit a report to the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces as the case requires on the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. The report must include a clear statement accepting or amending the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. When amending the fiscal framework, a money bill, or taking any decisions in terms of this act, Parliament and its committees must ensure that there is an appropriate balance between revenue expenditure and borrowing. Speaker, there was never a time in the committee where the chairperson asked whether we are accepting the fiscal framework and revenue proposal or we are amending it. We are saying to you that did not happen. What happened is that we started with the report and the chairperson asked us to have input on the report and make recommendations on the report. Even at the end, it was never subjected to whether we are accepting the fiscal framework and revenue proposal. And therefore, what is going to be tabled here today is procedurally unfair. We can't continue with a document that is procedurally unfair. It did not follow the process as stipulated by the Money Bills Act. We're asking you, Speaker, once again, please suspend the proceedings of today. Let's follow the law. We obviously have South Africans who are waiting for these monies, but we will not vote on a report that is illegal, Madam Speaker.
So this is what the EFF said. Then they repeated times without numbers to say, this is illegal. Let us follow the law. And the Ramaphosa administration, as I said earlier, they've now adopted the strategy of Emmerson Mnangagwa of bastardizing the constitution and the laws and the procedures. They now do things unprocedurally. However, thank God that there is a high court which is still reasoning in South Africa, and they went ahead to suspend these proceedings. So we are going to take a look also on other issues which were raised. Let us start by what Julius Malema said.
There is no budget because the Minister of Finance has withdrawn the division of revenue bill and appropriations bill, meaning he has to create a new fiscal framework to introduce these bills again. That means there is no money allocated for anything in South Africa as we stand here today. Ino Godongwan wrote a letter to the media this week saying he is reversing VAT increase, and this same week a group of fools started celebrating with the ANC and called a press conference celebrating that they stopped a VAT increase. They are lying. It was the EFF that stopped the VAT increase.
So when you look at it, the ANC government, they need to step up. They need to do the things the right way. You cannot continue to have the Southern African, one of the biggest economies in Africa. You cannot continue to have them, plunge into chaos and into lawlessness just like that. But let us take a look onto the last piece, which was delivered again by the MPs of AFF, so as to understand today's victory, where it came from, how it started.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, we wrote to you last night, and your response that you sent to us earlier today is deeply unsatisfactory. And Speaker, I want to put it to you that you missed the point completely, because you are quoting a rule that seeks to say that it was the workings of the committee. It is not. It's a legal requirement, Speaker. If you look at the Money Bills Amendment Procedure and Related Matters Act, Section 8, subsection. Speaker, my mic is going off. So Section 8, subsection 4 clearly says that there must be a clear statement of whether we accept or we amend the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. We're putting it to you that you were misled to believe that that happened in the committee, because it did not. In your response, you are saying that you got advised that that happened. I sit in that committee. We were there from morning until evening. That did not happen. And we are saying to you, it's a question of a legal requirement, not a procedure of a committee. And therefore, we appeal to you to suspend today's proceedings, send back the scoff to go and do the right thing and comply with the law of this country in terms of that act. Otherwise, if you continue as Speaker, it will be procedurally unfair and unlawful. Therefore, we're asking you, please suspend today's proceedings. Let the Standing Committee on Finance go and agree, firstly, with a clear statement, as is stipulated in the Act, that it must be clear that it's either amending or accepting. The issue of the recommendations and the report, that's a separate issue altogether. Here we are dealing with an objection because of the illegality of the process that happened yesterday. I think.
So when you look at it, the EFF debated rightly and is confirmed by the High Court, the Western Cape High Court. That is something which is very, very important to know, that the Speaker of Parliament in South Africa had also become an agent of oppression, and they were bending rules at will. This is it. Let us meet in other episodes as well as other broadcasts.